So, conflicting reports out tonight whether or not Palace have made it to the Europa League. And we're going to run through them all together. Let's get into it. Evening, everybody. I hope you're doing well, and welcome to yet another live Forest news update. Get your highs in the chat. Hope you guys are doing well. Please make sure, as always, you've hit that like button and you're subscribed as well if you are new here. So, I thought I'd do this live, like in real time, because I've just got back in from football. My phone's been going off like crazy. I've had a very quick word with Ben Jacobs about it as well. And for those of you who don't know what's going on, there's been some news coming out about the whole Palace, Forest, Brighton thing going around. Camera angle's horrible, bro. Just chill. It's still not finished. It's still not finished. Anyway, we're here to talk about this Europa League stuff. So, just to give you a quick rundown of what's happened, Talk Sports, of all people, have released an article to say that Palace are very likely to get into the Europa League because it turns out that John Textor only holds 30% of the shares in the company, in Palace. It's the 43% comes from his company holding Eagle Football or whatever it's called. So that in itself was a blow, and the expectation was, and we'll go through the article in a second, the expectation was that actually UEFA want Palace in there because they think it's good for football. So, yeah, I know, man, running around with 14-year-old kids, bro, it ain't easy. It ain't easy. Anyway, so following that, Mike then releases a report to say that actually this ain't the case. And John Textor is frantically trying to sell his shares at a cut price to not screw Palace from ending up, well, basically crashing out of Europe. And the two reports are completely in contrast to each other. So is this over or not? I don't know. Big up to you. Rich is in the chat. Oh, new logo. I like it. Very slick. Very slick. So what this means, I don't know. Rich, if you're hearing anything else, let me know, bro. Evening, says Jay. Not watched much over the last week. Is in Spain on holiday. All right, bro. Don't need to rub it in. Hope you're having a good time. Daniel saying Palace earned the Europa League. We didn't. Simple as that, in my opinion. Yeah, but the rules are the rules. The rules are the rules. If it was Forest, would be booted out. Exactly. Have some shame. Palace deserves it. You bottled it, mate. When have I said about anything against Palace on it? Okay, so let's get into this. Let's run through the articles and then we'll figure it out as we go along. So, big up to Big Buyer for subscribing. Make sure you're subscribed as well if you are new. This is the Thames Talk Sport that said Forest wasn't getting points deducted last season's. Yeah. Now, what I will add about this is that Ben Jacobs has retweeted it, and I've spoken to him, and he said that he can't definitely say for sure, but it's looking in favor of Palace. Now, I don't know how close he is to this story. Rich is saying it as well. Ben Jacobs saying it'll be fine. Mike McGrath saying that we're not, but he's been more clickbait. But he's been very good with this story so far. Let's run through the stories and then we'll do the maths on it all. So this is the one released by Talk Sports. Yes, we've stooped to that level. It says Crystal Palace are expected to stay in the Europa League with John Textor deemed to not to have a decisive influence in quotations in the club. TalkSport understands. Nottingham Forest have written to UEFA over an alleged breach of multi-club rules due to Textor holding shares in Palace and his Eagle Football Club also controlling Lyon. Now, I don't like what they've said there about Forest because Forest haven't written about basically grassing them up. That was already done and dusted. Like, everyone knew that. Anyway, both Lyon and Palace are set to feature in the Europa League next season, although Forest are seeking to remove Palace from the competition and take their place. Again, the narrative there is being spun disgustingly by TalkSport. Forest aren't seeking to remove Palace. Forest are seeking to ensure that the rules are adhered to. There's a big difference. The people who would be removing Palace would be UEFA, not the other way around. Rich said, like I've always said, Texter has no say, and also Texter is diluting his shares. Finally, Texter helped you guys, is helping our cause because it proves we don't do business with Lyon. Well, you say that, Rich, but who was influential in hiring Glasner, bro? Nice try, Rich. I've done my research, bro. I've done my research. Anyway, let's continue on with this. TalkSport understand UEFA don't construe Texter as holding a controlling influence at Palace and recognize the value of having the Eagles in the Europa League next season, following their FA Cup win over Manchester City last season. Texter has publicly acknowledged he has little or no influence at Palace, even calling his stake the most expensive season ticket in football. Now, they've been trying to spin this narrative about most expensive season ticket in football through, as in TalkSport have, not Palace. I've heard it so many times come up on what they've been saying. Anyway, it goes on to say, back in 2001, he also revealed he was not involved in recruitment, development, or commercial activities. So why then was he involved in Glasner being hired? Anyway, it continues. There's not really an opportunity to get more involved in the stuff that's really fun for me. The academy squad construction, the commercial elements, he said. There is a spiritual divide on the merits of multi-club collaboration versus single club governance. I have some emotion when I'm responsible for the outcome of something. I have a stronger connection, so I'm proud of my role within a small team of good friends. For the construction of the roller coaster in Brazil with Botafogo, checking in on Palace at the weekend is different. I'm a fan, but I'm not remotely responsible for the outcome. Rich again says, I do agree, Forest to not ask us to be kicked out. It is terrible journalism, bro. Absolutely terrible journalism. Why is it rules are rules when it comes to Forest and not? Now, agreed. Anyway, let's keep going. Is that the TalkSport understand that UEFA are in favor of keeping Palace in the Europa League? And I think that's the end of that article. So for me, look, I've always felt when it comes to TalkSport and Forest, they're very biased in the way they approach things. They love to take the mick out of Marinakis. Excuse me. Take the mick out of Marinakis, about Forest. Remember when we were signing 100 million players, as they called it, and all this. I also think their journalism is very poor. I think Alex Crook is one of the worst journalists out there. The crap he comes up with is ridiculous. I don't know who they've attributed this article to. Let's have a quick look. They signed it off as someone. Oh, wait, it continues more. It continues more. If it was one of the Manchester teams in Forest position, Palace would have been out weeks ago. I kind of do. I bet Rich would agree with that as well. We have seen UEFA has rules, but in the end, they're always ready to break their own rules. Like Salzburg, Leipzig played UCL like 2005. Max 4 countries can play in UCL, but take 5 from England. They changed those rules to 7, didn't they? If this is the case and nothing to answer, why are Europa getting involved? Says Mel. An evening to the legend. That is Jabba as well. Okay, so let's just continue on because there's some interesting points here. What I said to you at the start, I think they cover off here. So this bit's important. The fairy tale, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, congrats, Rich. Well deserved. Anyway. Textor has already diluted his shares in Eagle Football and now owns around 55%. So this is where the maths comes in. He goes, meanwhile, Eagle Football own 43% of Palace, but Textor's own stake is understood to be less than 30%. American merchant bank Rain Group are also currently in process of trying to sell this. So let's just pause there, right? If this is where the whole thing is now standing on. One, they're now saying, according to this report, that it's not Textor that owns 43%. It's his company, Eagle Football, that owns 43%. By the way, convenient name to call yourself Eagle Football, but have no involvement in Palace. Hey, Rich? Hey, Rich? And he only owns 30% of the Palace stake, okay? Now, at the end of the day, I'm not sure. Maybe you guys will know better off in the chat, but I've not seen any rule that states you're allowed any stake in any club. For it, so if you had below like 40%, does that now make it a case of, oh, you know what? 40% is the threshold limit, therefore it doesn't count as multi-club within UEFA's rule. I haven't seen that, okay? And to back that up further, Marinakis didn't dilute his shares down to 40% or 30%. He put it all into a blind trust. There's the difference there, okay? That's one thing to look into account for. He called it Eagle football because he was close to getting Benfica of an Eagle too, but then he didn't. Yeah, so he got Palace, didn't he? He got Palace. Okay, so that's the thing there. So they're trying to spin this thing to say, actually, he's only got 30%. He has no say. He's never been involved. You know, his stack of stock in Palace is basically a paperweight. I'm not buying it because of the Glasner thing. Anyway, let's continue here. Palace, freaking fly. Palace are not legally part of a multi-club model and have not used Eagle Holdings Network to build or benefit their football model. Now, again, according to the UEFA rules, it doesn't say that you are part of a multi-club model that makes you, you know, valid as in and out. It's about an owner owning stakes in X club and Y club. And again, I think TalkSport is spinning some narrative here. Palace also have no reason to engage with or find a remedy for UEFA's March the 1st deadline set to resolve multi-club issues. The club controlling shareholders don't own any of Lyon and had no knowledge at the time of the deadline as to whether the French club were placed in a blind trust. Again, more smoke being blown up on this one. It's understood Textor did not want to place his own shares in a blind trust as he is trying to sell them, and ultimately doing so because he doesn't have control over the club. It's just so messy. This almost feels like Palace wrote this and said, TalkSport, can you spin this? Let me just quickly catch up with some of your comments. I will take a break in between to catch up with super chats and comments. I want to let this try and flow a little. I'm reading comments as well at the same time. Jay saying, if it was us and we got UCL, the Greek father didn't do, the shares would be kicked out. Exactly. At any rate, Wolfie, Palace should be in Champions League. What? What? They won the FA Cup and Forest should be at least as well Champions League. Champions League won't get you FA Cup won't get you Champions League, bro. Okay, so it's TalkSport more or less Palace. It's starting to feel like this way, the way they're talking about the article. Anyway, and I agree with this. Look, he has, to be fair to him, he has been trying to sell. But what complicated, and Rich may be able to correct me here, is that he tried to buy Everton. And there was something to do with the shares in that and what have you. And then because he was trying to buy Everton, he didn't sell these shares, something like that. Rich will know it better than I did. But I know the narrative has been, he has been trying to sell. Jabba says this could hamper our transfer policy, not knowing. Plus, Ali McCoy said it's the end of the month when they make a decision. So the next article does have when the decision will be. I'll share that with you guys in a second. And Rich saying, what about the on-loan Forest players who gave away 97 minutes? Omar Delhi, man. I think I mentioned this last time, but basically Lyon weren't going to get into the Europa League. In the 98th minute, double agent Omar Bamadeli gave away a penalty and got a red card. And basically, Strasbourg ended up losing, which put Lyon on goal difference into the Europa League spot. And I think as well, it kept Le Havre from going down. And Marinakis doesn't miss these things, bro. And plus, also, Rich, it doesn't matter with Marinakis because we didn't end up in the Champions League with Olympiacos. So Forest wouldn't have a conflict of interest in the Europa League. So, hold that one. Okay. When does the verdict come out? So I'll show you in a second. Okay, so just to finish up this one, it says Textor also stated last year that his desire purchase of Everton. So this is what I was talking about, which never came to fruition, was down to wanting the control he lacked at Palace. It's just a crybaby. An announcement on Palace's future in the Europa League is expected imminently. Okay, so they don't say the date, but it does say it on the next article. So Wazza with the £2 super chat. Thank you so much, bro. He goes, Forest deserve to be where they are and Crystal Palace do. Facts. Look, again, I'm not going to say Palace should be kicked out and Forest should be put in on the technicality. But I think Palace do deserve to be in the Europa League and Forest are where they are because of the way we bottled it. However, my stance is this. The rules are the rules. And Forest got penalised 4 points because the rules are the rules last season. And if Palace didn't get their ducks in order on this one, then I'm sorry, but it's not my fault. It's not Forest's fault. It's not anyone's fault apart from their hierarchy. Because they should have just bothered. They should have just done it. And like, okay, whatever. Let's see what happens. See what happens. Okay, so thank you for the £2, bro. Appreciate it. Okay, let's go on. So this report came out first, right? And then shortly afterwards, this came out from Mike Keegan in the Daily Mail. Now, I'm not the Daily Mail's biggest fan, but what I will say is he's been very good on reporting this story so far. And in essence, this is now saying the flip reverse. Okay, so it says here. Yeah, I hear it, Warren. And do you know what? I don't mind anyone who feels... I've seen people saying, whoa, how can Forest fans say that Palace deserve to be in there? Or how can... And then I hear, how can Forest fans not want Europa League and all this stuff, man? Everyone gets to think how they want to think, you know what I'm saying? So, anyway, this one is the complete opposite. This was released shortly after, I think, or I saw it after. It says John Textor offers to sell his majority stake in Crystal Palace to prevent the club being kicked out of Europe as Americans' asking price is revealed. So the bullet points on this are that Crystal Palace are at risk of being kicked out of next season's Europa League. Majority owner John Textor is willing to sell his stake to keep Palace in Europe. Now, just off the back of that, if Palace are so comfortable and confident that they are in, now referring back to the TalkSport article, then there's no real need for him to rush to sell his shares. There's no real need for him to cut price, do a quick discount one and all that. So why is he doing that if there isn't some fear about it? Now, it goes on to say, John Textor is willing to sell his majority stake in Palace for 175 mil and put an end to the club's European crisis. Mail Sport understands that the American, whose ownership of France side Lyon has placed the Eagles' historic Europa League place at risk, has offered his stake to his fellow co-owners as a last-ditch bid to ensure the club does not fall foul of UEFA's rules. The figure for Textor's Eagle football holding is 43% share. It's understood to value Palace at significantly less than the amount Textor himself offered to buy out his three fellow directors earlier this year, according to sources with knowledge in the situation. So a quick pause there. So, Rich, correct me if I'm wrong. Did Textor then try to buy out Parish and the other two because he wanted a bigger stake in Palace? Have I read this the right way around? It's understood the value Palace and the amount Textor offered to buy out. Yeah, that's what it's saying. So clearly he still wants some involvement in Palace, but he wants more of a say with it. Wolfie, Textor's fear is not with us, it's with Lyon. They're in massive financial issues, maybe banned from Europe and relegated. Yeah, but they're still buying players off Forest, bro. Still buying players off Forest. Anyway, so this goes on to say, the development is the latest in a high-stakes situation as the clock ticks towards a conclusion. Last week, the newspaper revealed that a delegation from Palace jetted to UEFA's headquarters in Switzerland last week to plead their case. It is thought that a key element of their argument was that while Textor holds a majority stake, he is only entitled to a 25% of the voting rights, and as such is not in a position of influence. However, that may well not be enough to satisfy UEFA's chiefs, with a rapid sale now being viewed in certain quarters as the only way out. And that's, ladies and gents, is the absolute dagger line. The only way out, according to this report now, is they've tried the blind trust, it got rejected. They've tried saying that he's got no influence and what have you. Well, hello, who was behind Glasner? And now they're saying the only way to save Palace in this is if he sells his shares. Now, I'm no freaking financial expert, but if he cut price sells the shares to, say, Parish or the other two's names I can't remember, doesn't that devalue Palace as an entire entity on top of that? Because the shares diluted down, their market value becomes a lot less. I don't know. So I don't know if it's that simple just to say, here you go, take the shares. So anyway, so let's continue with this. Palace chairman Parish also holds 25% of the voting rights, along with the other two partners, the American John Harris and David Blitzer. That's their two names, right? Anyway, scroll past, pictures, and then here we go. Harris and Blitzer would be the two most likely to buy Textor out, and it is thought that Woody Johnson, the owner of the NFL, New York's Jets, and former US ambassador to the UK, may yet become involved. Textor's asking price is thought to be more than 50 million less than the revenue multiplied by 3 formula often used to value businesses. Okay, so he's doing a pretty decent cut price deal there. Palace unexpectedly qualified for the Europa League thanks to the shock FA Cup win. Other clubs with similar models often put their ownerships into blind trust to avoid issues with UEFA's rules. However, at a March cut-off for submission, the prospect of Palace qualifying for Europe was unlikely at best. Yeah, unlikely at best, but still likely. Anyway, should the situation not be resolved, Textor's Lyon would take the Europa League slot as they finished higher in the domestic league. To exacerbate the situation, Blitz's Bromby would take the Europa Conference spot for the same reason, as he also failed to spot the potential issue. Forest would be elevated from the Conference League to the Europa League, while Palace's rivals Brighton would take a slot in the Conference League. So this is important as well, because it's not just Textor that's messed up as well, it's Blitzer, who didn't potentially see this as being an issue with his team Bromby and Palace. So up and down their hierarchy, Palace haven't really sorted things out. Now, you could argue there was no real way that Palace would have properly ended up in the Conference League. They weren't going to finish 7th. They were out of the League Cup. So you can kind of cut him some slack. And I don't know why Rich and the rest of the Palace fans are defending Textor, saying, well, we didn't know in March, whatever. You were still in the FA Cup, boys. You were still in the FA Cup. Now, this next bit tells you about the dates as well. So it says, Palace have until the 24th of June to present their final case to UEFA officials, who are then expected to take around a week before reaching a verdict. Now, this is huge, right? Because 24th of June, I believe the qualifiers start in about 6 days' time, if I'm not mistaken. So the competition will already be underway. Yes, it's in its earlier kind of phases, but it's already started and you still don't know who's in, which is absolutely crazy. And then when it's submitted, UEFA are going to take a week to figure it out. What this tells me as an overarching thing is that what TalkSport was saying, I don't know where they're getting it from, because they didn't say in their report that, oh, by the way, this will be done by the 24th, then there's a week to deliberate. They said they expect an announcement imminently, I think was the words they used. So to me, that TalkSport piece feels like a bit of just chuck shit at the wall and see what sticks kind of thing, but heavily weighed towards Palace. Whereas this one feels like there's some dates in there, there's some factual evidence. Mike's been very good with this story so far. And it's interesting to see, to say the least. Now, it doesn't even finish there, because the article goes on to say, should they not be satisfied with the ruling, Palace could appeal to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, as could the other clubs involved in what is a complex situation. Such a scenario, nice spelling of such there, Mike, is not unlikely given what is at stake. So basically, even once they've made the verdict and a decision on the, say, a week after the 24th, which pretty much takes us to the 1st of July, we are now talking about, right? 1st of July. If that happens, and then it continues on in appeals, because Forest too can also go to the CAS as well, if Palace are given the position, and Brighton can as well. So I said this the other week, this is going to get a lot messier before it gets any better. And for TalkSport to come out and basically say, yeah, Palace are in, I don't think they're much closer to the decision. And I think what this shows is there's a lot more worry with what's going on from Palace, because they're looking at it thinking he has to sell or we're screwed. That's my take of the situation. Now, as I said, though, the only thing that makes me think there is still some favour for Palace is what Ben Jacobs is saying. And, you know, apparently Mike Keegan has a good relationship with John Textor. So maybe he's trying to make him look in a bit of a better light. It's interesting to say the least. I don't know where this one goes, guys. I honestly don't know which way, you know, the cookie lands and crumbles. What do you guys think? Let's do a little section on your comments and get your thoughts in. What are you guys saying? TalkSport trying to make us the villains again. They always do, bro. They always do, don't they? They do what they can. By the way, I just want to do a massive quick shout out to World Decor, who were the ones who hooks me up with these beautiful wood slap panels that even I was able to install myself. Guys, I am telling you, it's so easy to install. A bit of adhesive on the back, couple of screws in the corner, bang, 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 bang. I've got my new stuff coming in for the wall here. I've obviously got the beautiful Forest frame shirt at the back there. Just make sure. And do you know what the best thing about it? They're a Nottingham-based company, which is why I got talking to them and getting sorted out. They're NG13. So if you guys are looking to do any house upgrades, like I am myself, make sure you keep it local to the Nottingham area, and make sure you go check them out. World Decor. Tell them we sent you from FFTV. I'm sure they'll hook you up with some good prices. But yeah, honestly, I got myself all those slats. Me and Twist sweated it out the other day. Sweated it out. Sorted. Job done. So give them a call. The link's pinned, or you can scan this QR code. And yeah, it's brilliant, as Warren says. Yeah, but it's got the acoustics. It helps with the acoustics as well, so it reduces any echo in the room. And also you can just hang stuff up. So there's like felt in bits. Try and reach the black bits there. You can just drill straight in. It's beautiful. I love it. And also I'm bouncing off some LED lights off it, and it just gives a nice reflection. You see that? They're actually dark gray. You want to know what color I went for? It was the dark gray. But they all bounce some nice LEDs. I love it. I love it. It's Final Boss in here. What are you saying, Final Boss? What are you saying, man? No Chelsea news. Anyway, so shout out to World Decor. Make sure you do check them out. Wait till I finished it. And I've seen your comments as well. A lot of you saying get that Forest emblem back up. We're getting that sorted. Anyway, okay. Let's go back to this story. So, how are you guys feeling about it? Do you think Forest are gonna pull off this Europa League thing? I got Simon's giving it to the final boss there. Put Liverpool on. Man, Liverpool fans are proper seeking validation. They really are. So let's put your photo up. Laurie, you get your own special sec. You'll be there, Laurie, like in front. So every time I have to do a video, I stare at your face. That's what's going on. Okay. Look, couple of things I want to talk about. All right. Here's my stance on everything. Whether Forest get Europa or Forest get Conference League and vice versa to Palace and Brighton, I would rather just find out now. Not for the sake of me knowing, right? But because I want Forest to then be able to plan the transfer window. My biggest worry is that if this takes until July, and let's just say for argument's sake, Forest get kicked up into the Europa League, right? My problem is that we may have been targeting transfers at that level down rather than being able to go another notch up the ladder. That's my biggest thing with this. I don't really care Europa or Conference League. I don't really differentiate too much between them. If I'm being honest with you, they're kind of one and the same. They're not the Champions League to me. Okay. And that's the thing. And looking at your poll, like 50% of you are saying Forest, 50% saying Palace, which is quite interesting. But I don't care about them either way. We got Europe, right? But Europa is undoubtedly going to be able to attract better players to Forest rather than Conference League. That's factual. As Champions League would attract better players than the Europa League. So for me, we need to know, because if we end up in July, and let's just say they rule in Forest's favour, and then Crystal Palace appeal, that could take us another week, another 2 weeks, whatever it is. We're in mid-July. Season starting a couple of weeks later. Forest are going to be off on a pre-season tour. You know what I'm saying? That's where I start to get quite frustrated with this whole thing. In a way, just tell us, right, this is our decision, bang, done, and move on. And I don't know if that's going to happen. You think there's a massive difference? Financially, there's not even that big a difference. If I'm being honest with you, there's not a big difference. You saw the video we did with Kieran Maguire. Basically, if you win the Europa League, you pretty much make profit, right? If you get to the quarterfinals or so, I think he said, you break even. With the Conference League, you're pretty much running break even or at a cost if you win it. You're not going to make substantial profit. I think if you win the Conference League, I think when Olympiacos won it, they got 4 mil in kind of competition fees for it. It's not big at all. It's not big at all. And that's the thing on it. But Marinakis doesn't really care about that side of it. He's more interested in the prestige of the things. That's the difference, I think, for me. Football doesn't have watertight rules. Very much the offside rule, says Jay. Chuck says, I think it's okay to go on other clubs' channels, but I'm respectful to them. So yes, I agree. Are you still fighting with Final Boss? Final Boss is all right, side. We always banter. Okay, so that's that news. Now, the other thing, by the way, my hay fever again, man. Again, hold on, sorry, this is disgusting. Right, the other thing I want to talk to you guys about is, let me just find it quickly. Is this, right, let's just switch screens up. I don't know if it'll fit, it should do. This, so, Forest have released this. Let me just see if I can make it a little bit. Right. See if we can maybe fit it in a little better. Oh shit. Sorry, OCD and stuff. Okay, so Forest are releasing this tomorrow, which obviously is going to be the kit. Now, they're going to the shield design here. Isn't it shirt release day tomorrow? It looks like to me a tongue on trainers. You know what I'm saying? Now, It's a shield badge. I'm not a big fan of shield badges. I have to be honest with you guys, right? But that's what's coming up. Yeah, I agree. It looks like trainers. It looks like trainers. Are you guys agreeing or disagreeing? Because I'll tell you why. This bit here in the bottom left, if I just move that there, that's a lace. When you zoom in on it, that's the lace. So, but are they really hyping up releasing a trainer? Is this just gonna be like an Adidas special line of Forest trainers? Because most clubs release their kit on the final home game of the season, man. Apart from our club, we go forever and ever and ever and ever. And we start the season without sponsors, blah, blah, blah. Big up to my bro Halftime Hooks, man. Make sure you subscribe to him. He's knocking out some great content. And we are blood brothers, man. We gave them the kit, speaking of kit. Yeah, they're gonna do. Didn't they do that Adidas line earlier on in the season where everything was like 150 quid? But I think it's the shape that's more interesting. Now, a lot of you have asked me about the new kit, and there's been this one that looks a bit like the Shipston one from back in the day with the white stripy lines and everything else. And is that the kit? Rich traders, really, that CO money loss is really hindering you. Yeah, bro, you gotta hustle where you can hustle. So what was I saying? So that kit, now I have not seen the kit this year. Usually I've been quite fortunate and I've had someone show me the kit here and there. I don't believe that kit because it's still got the old sponsor on it. And does the new rules for gambling and crypto come into effect this season coming or next season? I'm pretty sure it's this season, isn't it? Does anyone know? I can't remember. I think it might be this season. So that's why I don't believe the kit. Now, loads of people apparently have gone and ordered that kit. So good luck to you. You better hope you were right on it. But yeah, Forest have released that one. Get rid of the blue away kit. Which one? They're both blue. One's light blue, one's dark blue. Just keep the tree. It looks cleaner. Yeah, it's just a bit too shieldy, isn't it? I'll just zoom it out a little bit. There you go. Do you like that design? Trees grow quicker than our kit release process. That is true as well. I just think they're releasing a new shoe line. Like when I first saw it, I was like, oh, kit incoming. What's wrong with the shield? Nothing's wrong with a shield. It's just personal preference. What we got now on the kit? Where's my kit? We haven't got anything, have we? Like we used to have Drembo in with the Labatt's and the first Pinnacle one. It was like an overly circle thing filled with white. The shield is fine, but since when do clubs release boots with logos on the season? I think the Frank Clark season, I'm trying to remember. That one was my first kit. It wasn't when it was when we got relegated. That was my first kit. That was in an oval circle shape. It had the black line. It was still Labatt's then, I think. Who are you hoping to play in the Champions League next season, Wolfie, bro? Anyway, grounds you excited to go to? Any away grounds you excited to go to? Yeah, loads of them, bro. But I'm bringing silverware back next year. Which silverware are you bringing back, bro? Okay, anyway, so that's the kit stuff. Now, the other thing I need to talk to you guys about is the Brazilians. The name Frank Clark just releases love in the hearts of Forest. I love Frank Clark, I really do. So the three Brazilians, there's been a couple of updates on there that I need to run by you guys. Shout out to Ben with the 499. He goes, did Halftime Hooks choose his name after Ez, aka Halftime Ez Gambling and Crypto? I'm there. Shout out Simon for the chat beef. P.S. Palace out. Sorry, Rich. The S gambling and crypto. You've lost me on that one, bro. You've lost me a little bit on that one. Not gonna lie. But shout out to you, Ben. Shout out to you. By the way, we are doing a Grumpy Old Reds tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is Thursday. Anyway, I digress. Right. So on the Brazilian boys, and let me just see. Hold on. Wait, hold on. We got some breaking news. Breaking news. Ooh, interesting. Interesting. So this is from Keva. Keva, you know, the guy at Sky. Let me bring it up. Breaking news. This dude from Sky. UEFA's club financial control body have asked Crystal Palace to prove that US businessman John Textor does not have decisive influence at the club. The onus is on Palace to show that this is the case. If they can do that, they will keep their place in the Europa League. Palace remain in constant dialogue with the club financial control body, and a decision is due before the end of the month. Textor is prepared to resign as a Palace director, and he is in talks to sell Eagle Football Holdings. Oh, bombshell news. Bomber there, man. Bomber there. That literally blows out everything that TalkSport just said about what they were saying. Interesting. So this is kind of backing up Mike's story. Now, how do you prove that you don't have decisive influence? Now, the wording here is key. And the wording here is a little bit worrying as well. They haven't said that Textor needs to prove he has no influence. They're saying decisive influence. Now, define decisive. That's a subjective term. So decisive could be what? In hiring and firing managers, in recruiting players, in money being invested in the club. Like, what are we saying here? What does decisive mean? How are you guys reading this? Is that good or bad? I can't tell. Oh, that is influence right there, Ben. That is influence. But the key words here is that the onus is on Palace to show that this is the case. That's what I'm saying, Jay. That's a good example. What's going on? Fuck off. That's right. It's like saying, provide me proof that you are not speeding. That is the perfect analogy. Like, how do you provide proof that you're not speeding? Or it's like, let me think of a good analogy for you. Marinakis could buy the Palace shares, sell us Eze, and then withdraw Palace from Europe in the interest of maintaining the integrity of the rules. Would you put it past him? No, I wouldn't. I would not. Doesn't the Forest owner have an interest in Olympiakos? Tough word to spell, good effort. Yes, he does. He owns Olympiakos, but Olympiakos and Forest will not be in the same competition, so it's a moot point. Is the source reliable? This guy is pretty good, more so on transfers. But you know, he's reputable. He's the dude you see him all the time on Sky, man. He would have been one of the first ones who was breaking the stuff about Forest and financial first play, etc. So how are you guys reading that? Like, I don't know. I think it's on how you interpret it. How you interpret it. Because my interpretation of reading that is that normally in a court of law, you're innocent until proven guilty, right? This to me is saying you're guilty until you prove yourselves innocent. Does that make sense? The onus is on Palace to show that this is the case. If they can do that, they will keep their place in the Europa League. So the opposite has to be true. If they can't do that, they will lose their spot in the Europa League. Interesting. Interesting. Watching Wolfie is 10 times better than Talk Sport. I think you mean it as a compliment, so big up to you. Big up to you. Yeah, I hear you, man. It's Olympiacos is a hard word to spell. A hard word to spell. All right, let's get into some of your comments. Guys, do me a quick favor. Make sure you've hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed as well if you are new. We're on 99 likes. 99 likes, right? Got nearly 400 in here. Get those likes up. Get those likes up. Let's have a look at some of your comments here. All right, get your comments in. Rob salt in the wound when we sign Eze. Well, we are linked to Eze, despite some of you in the comments yesterday saying, never in a million years, never this, clickbait that. That was like one of the most legit sources linking Forest to Eze, right? Don't shoot the messenger. I was only reporting the news to you. Now, I'm not making us favorites for Eze, by the way. I'm just saying we are officially linked to Eze. So I would take Eze. I'd say Wolfie is 0.5 times better than Talksport. I'll take that. I'll take that. Finally, we got results against Leicester, Brentford, Everton, and Chelsea. Jason, we just needed one of those results. One of those results. I do agree with that statement. I do agree with that statement. Okay, let me give you a quick update on the Brazilians, right? So, Igor Jesus done. We don't need to worry about that. Signed a week ago, Wednesday. Jair is getting very close now to Forest. I think most things are in line and most things are set to be complete. Cubano, it seems, I had a couple of reports earlier saying that this was the whole Cubano Brighton versus Forest thing. Feels like, from what I've seen, and I haven't been able to sit down and kind of go through my phone properly, but it feels like the pendulum is swinging in Forest's favor on that one as well. But we are also being linked with the left back from Brighton, Estepena, however you say his name, who we were linked with when we got promoted a couple of years back. So Forest, what you can take from all that is Forest are definitely in the market for a left back for sure. So those ones are going to be interesting. Now, in terms of Cubano, he could probably be more used as a left winger than a left back, even though he can play both. I don't know what Forest want to use him for. Maybe a utility player, maybe back up to Callum Hudson-Odoi. Who knows? So it's progressing. Now, I believe as well, Jair got a red card in his previous game. So he's got a 2-match ban suspension as well. So any of you are hoping to see him in Botafogo's next couple of games, I think he'll be out. Now, I don't know what the rules are across federations. If, let's just say Forest signed him today and he came to Forest, would he be banned for 2 matches of us? Because remember when Milenkovic signed for Forest, he was suspended for the first game because it carried over from the Italian league. I'm sure it's not a massive issue, but it's one just to be aware of. Everyone's being linked with Eze. Yeah, man, because Eze is a quality player. Just seen 7 days till fixtures come out. What's the betting we don't get an easy run? Well, they say there's no easy game in the Premier League apart from Sheffield. So, you know what I'm saying? Who knows? My God, you lot are doing bare atting to each other. It's so confusing to read. Graham saying, Wolfie, no matter what, I truly love the way our team are representing and heading. I've got no problems with it. I just want a couple of marquee signing, or one marquee signing. John, could you imagine that if that happened? That'd be funny, man. That would be funny. Let me ask you though, on the fixtures, what are the fixtures you first look out for when it comes out in the Premier League now? Obviously, like Derby aren't in it anymore. Like for me, it's Spurs and it's Man U. They're the ones I look at first. Yeah, I don't think he is okay. I don't think he is okay after what happened to his team. Love it, love it. Oh, all right. Don't hate me for this, guys, right? But I kind of wanted Sheffield to get promoted because I looked at that and thought to myself, you know what? An easy 6 points. That's an easy 6 points. But yeah, and they'd get relegated and it'd be funny. Wolfie, are you getting the coffees? I don't think anyone's dropped any, bro. I can check. Hold on, bro. Nothing's come through, Si. Nothing's come through, mate. Don't let them stitch you up if you put one through. Breaking news. Check WhatsApp. Oh my god, I love doing this live stuff. Freaking what? Oh, look at that. Nah, man, that's gonna be AI generated, man. Surely. Let me see if I can bring this up on screen. I don't know how true this one is, so no. So apparently, oh wait, that's not come through, right? There you go. If you believe it, the badge is exactly the same. Yeah, but you could generate that on AI, man. Let's be real here. And let's see if I can just fit it all in. I mean, if that's the big giveaway. You guys like that? Told you, Villa have got the same Samba shoes. Is this like the Villa one? What are you guys saying to that? You like them? Quick Y or N in the chat. If I don't know how true this is. I don't know how true this is. What happened with the new signings? Third leaked white kit is awesome. I don't know if the kit leaks have been good. It looks like a pair of shoes for single dads. Says Crypto. All right, are any of you going to go and buy it? It's probably going to be like Si said, about 120 quid or something stupid like that. It's mixed response. The Reds mix. I don't know. I probably think it's AI generated. I think it might be AI generated. You will, yeah. But Graham, you got to buy everything, bro. Don't you? Have we missed out on Europa then? No. No, mate. We will find out on the 24th of June. You can see Ant in a pair of those. Maybe. Ant would probably be the kind of guy who goes and buys them. No. All right. So let me just summarize quickly. So those of you joining late, you can obviously go back and watch the stream. But an article was released with TalkSport that said that Crystal Palace are going to get the Europa League spot because John Textor only owns 30%. 42% is owned by his company, Eagle-Eyed Football, or whatever it's called, Eagle Sport, or whatever it's called. And they said that UEFA want Palace to get the spot because they think it's good for football. Now, that was counter-argued by Mike from the Daily Mail, who said, whoa, actually, hold on a minute. Textor is panicking and is trying to basically resign by selling his shares at a cut price. And it's expected that he's going to try and sell them to 2 of the 3 shareholders in Crystal Palace. Okay? If he can get that done before the 24th of June, which, by the way, would be a quick turnaround, then technically there's no issue because he has no involvement in Crystal Palace. And then to add to that, we got the breaking news from Cave while we were live on air to say that UEFA have told Palace that the onus is on them to prove that John Textor has no decisive, keyword, decisive influence over Palace. And if they can do that, then they will remain in Europa. So the opposite will stand true as well. If they can't, then they will be booted out. So that's your updates, guys. Oh, by the way, I did a buy, keep, sell, bench video earlier. Some of your comments are hilarious, man. I'm just one man giving my opinion, and a lot of you are going crazy because I said, spoiler alert, sell Ryan Yates. Like, all right, fine. If that offends you, sorry, but that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion on it. So, would you sell Ryan Yates? Would you keep him? Make sure you watch that video if you haven't seen it already. Let me do. Yeah. All right. Any last minute questions? Why? I can't say I'd sell Ryan Yates, but it's okay if I sell it. Say sell Taiwo. Like, what's the difference? What's the difference? They'll end up doing Blood Eagle Wings ritual sacrifice on Textor to get Europa League. I was thinking, what are they called in Cobra Kai? Isn't it like Eagle Fang Karate or whatever? Mark, man, it was like I'd insulted their mothers, man. It was like I'd insulted some mothers in the comments. It really was. Okay. I'm going to wrap it up there. I'm going to go and finally get to eat my dinner. I'm going to shove you across to Never a Foul because Gyökeres has met with Arsenal. Gyökeres' agent has met with Arsenal. So go check him out. Call Pass a Fraud in his comments or something like that. We'll be back tomorrow with probably more transfer news. I'll see if I can get any updates as well. I'll be going through my phone in a little bit. So go and tell. In fact, go and do me a favor because Daps is on there. Go and spam 115 in his chat because it will absolutely wind him up. So everyone just go in there, type that 115 over on Never a Foul. All right, we will see you on tomorrow's video. Please double check you've hit that like button. Make sure you've subscribed as well. Enjoy the rest of your night. Come on, you Reds.